Hi, I'm Sherri Greenberg. I'm Director of the Center for Politics and Governance at the LBJ School of Public Affairs. I'm here today so that we can watch a few clips of last night's presidential debate, and I'll provide some commentary. Having spent 10 years of my life as a member of the Texas House of Representatives, I've had my share of debates. First, let's talk about the overall impression of last night. Well, Romney came in challenging a sitting president, so he had to come in as the aggressor. And he did that. He did that and more, because he also needed to relate to people, which he did. He presented a human side of himself, and he related stories, and he had an even demeanor and a calm tone while also being the aggressor. Not easy to pull off. Obama, on the other hand, is a sitting president. He was a little stiff, but he did come into his own later when he talked about Obamacare, which he now likes the term, and Medicare.
You know, my grandmother, some of you know, helped to raise me. My grandparents did. My grandfather died a while back. My grandmother died 3 days before I was elected president. And she was fiercely independent. She worked her way up, only had a high school education, started as a secretary, ended up being the vice president of a local bank. And she ended up living alone by choice. And the reason she could be independent was because of Social Security and Medicare. She had worked all her life, put in this money, and understood that there was a basic guarantee, a floor under which she could not go. And that's the perspective I bring when I think about what's called entitlements.
Well, Jim, our seniors depend on these programs, and I know anytime we talk about entitlements, people become concerned that something's going to happen that's going to change their life for the worst. And the answer is neither the president nor I are proposing any changes for any current retirees or near retirees, either to Social Security or Medicare. So if you're 60 or around 60 or older, you don't need to listen any further. But for younger people, we need to talk about what changes are going to be occurring. Oh, I just thought about one. And that is, in fact, I was wrong when I said the president isn't proposing any changes for current retirees. In fact, he is on Medicare. On Social Security, he's not. But on Medicare, for current retirees, he's cutting $716 billion from the program. Now, he says by not overpaying hospitals and providers, actually just going to them and saying, we're going to reduce the rates you get paid across the board. Everybody's going to get a lower rate. That's not just going after places where there's abuse. That's saying we're cutting the rates.
And ironically, if you repeal Obamacare, and I have become fond of this term, Obamacare, if you repeal it, what happens is those seniors right away are going to be paying $600 more in prescription care. They're now going to have to be paying copays for basic checkups that can keep them healthier. And the primary beneficiary of that repeal are insurance companies that are estimated to gain billions of dollars back when they aren't making seniors any healthier. And I don't think that's the right approach when it comes to making sure that Medicare is stronger over the long term.
We all know that this election boils down to a few battleground states. And of course, we know that one of those states is Florida. Florida is very important in this election. And the issue of Medicare is of the utmost importance nationwide in this campaign and in Florida. Florida is chock full of seniors and retirees who care very deeply about Medicare. So what do we have here? What is happening with Medicare? Well, it's really a question, some would say, of your age. Obama has said that his plan, which is to strengthen our current traditional Medicare and which is supported by AARP, would continue for everyone going forward. Romney has said that if you are a current retiree, let's say you're 60 years old, then you keep your traditional Medicare. However, the question is, what if you're younger than that? What if you're younger than 56? You're 55 or 54? What does this mean? Well, it could mean that in the future you won't have traditional Medicare. You will have a voucher. Now, this is an important issue. It is an important issue because it is a highly political issue. It is important nationwide, and again, if we get back to that battleground state of Florida, people will be paying attention to this very Medicare issue.
This is where there's a difference because Governor Romney's central economic plan calls for a $5 trillion tax cut on top of the extension of the Bush tax cuts. That's another $1 trillion. and $2 trillion in additional military spending that the military hasn't asked for. That's $8 trillion. How we pay for that, reduce the deficit, and make the investments that we need to make without dumping those costs on the middle-class Americans, I think is one of the central questions this campaign.
I'd like to clear up the record and go through piece by piece. First of all, I don't have a $5 trillion tax cut. I don't have a tax cut of the scale that you're talking about. My view is that we ought to provide tax relief to people in the middle class. But I'm not going to reduce the share of taxes paid by high-income people. High-income people are doing just fine in this economy. They'll do fine whether you're president or I am. The people who are having the hard time right now are middle-income Americans.
So here we have it, the $5 trillion tax question. President Obama has said that Governor Romney would cut taxes by $5 trillion. Is that right? We heard a response from Governor Romney saying, no, that's not correct. I am not going to cut taxes by $5 trillion. The question is, what is the real number? And beyond that, will the real Romney tax plan please stand up? And as long as we're talking about plans, what is the Obama economic plan? So, we've had a chance to see some of the clips from last night's debate, and we've talked about some of the big issues. What does it all mean? Well, instant polling after the debate last night showed overwhelmingly that people believed that Romney had won the debate. But I want to know, what does this mean? Will it move the election? I want to see the polls next week. And beyond that, we have more debates to come, so stay tuned.